All right. So going over my process, the first setup I always look for is the gap and crap reversal. And here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a stock gapping up 20% or more, ideally on news and pre-market. The more exciting the news, the better. I look for pre-market support levels and usually just wait to buy until after the market has opened. Once the market opens, I'm looking for a good pull or panic to support levels to buy. My buy depends on what the price action volume and level 2 look like at those pre-market support levels. Once the price reaches those support levels, look for double bottoms, higher lows, and or hammer candles with large volumes on the smaller time frames. So what all this is saying is I'm looking for a stock gapping up 20% or more pre-market. That's what the scanner's for. Those will be on your scanner. So we just go, we look to see if they have news. I'm going over MLEC here today. We look to see if they have news. MLC had news. It gapped up over 20%. So then all I do is I go up here to the 1 minute time frame and I'm looking for my support levels, right? I'm looking for areas. Let me remove these drawings. Remove. In pre-market, I'm just seeing this, right? All we're seeing is this right here in pre-market. All right. So what do? I go in pre-market and I look. Whatever that lowest level is, the lowest level, I mark that with my rectangle tool. I go from the high, right here, to the low, right here, right? Boom. And that's it. And then I just extend that over to the right. And that is my level I'm paying attention to. Yes, there's other levels in here, correct? Like this level, right? But then we start looking, these could possibly be resistance levels. And that's exactly what this happened to be, right? I'm just looking to see if this holds, right? So now let's look. 15-minute chart. Looks kind of, let's look to see where we'd be looking at. So we'd be looking at this. Looks kind of sloppy. So let's go to 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart. I think it looks sloppy because we got this right here going, right? 1 hour chart. 1 hour chart looks a lot cleaner. Push, and then it pushed up here. Then we started pulling. Now we pulled back to that level, right? This level right here that I have marked. We pulled back to that level. And then we go up here on the 1 minute time frame. What do I look for? Higher lows, right? Higher lows. So you just start buying these higher lows. You can buy anywhere here, here, here. And your risk is this low. We're risking this low right here. So if it breaks, you're out. And you just hold until that breaks. We start running up to what I say, these resistance levels. We start running up to these resistance levels. Now let's draw this over to the right. You start scaling some shares out. Scale, right? Scale. Get some of those shares out. I even like, if you look here, the stop loss will be set for a break below the low of day or the break below the next support level using your stop loss and expected entry. So this is the low of day, right? That's the low of day. This is the low of day. The entry, I'm buying at pre-market support levels. Pre-market support levels. If there is a daily support level in line with the pre-market support level, that level will be my main focus. So what I'm saying there is I will go to the daily chart and I will look to see, does this line up with some of the other levels? And all I have to do there is just edit it to go back, and you can clearly see it's kind of resistance there. So there's kind of a level, there's kind of a level here. I'm not too worried about that. My main focus is this pre-market support level, the first pre-market support level that it makes. Now, it doesn't always come down to this level, but I'm waiting for that. If it doesn't get there, A lot of times I try not to take a trade, but sometimes I do. But I try not to because my risk to reward isn't as good, right? So the entry, I'm buying pre-market support levels, blah, 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 blah. Once the stock reaches that level on the 1 hour chart, remember we only seen this. Once the stock reaches that level, then I'm looking for double bottoms and higher lows or hammer candles with large volume. So I'm looking for hammer candles here, but then I'm looking for the higher lows and double bottoms on the smaller time frames, right? Ideally, the further below VWAP, the better. I also like to size in with this strategy sometimes depending on the price action. So what I mean by that, if I'm looking at this right here before it got that pop, right? I see this higher low. Maybe I start buying here. Maybe I kind of chase a little bit, but then it pulls and holds a little bit. So maybe I add some here, and I can kind of keep adding as long as I think it's going to hold. And the more confidence I have in this stock, the more I'm going to add, right? So depending on the news and shit like that, I may be adding more. But I'm always using that low as my risk. And then once it starts pushing, we stop adding, right? Once you get that push, you stop adding. Take profits. Take profits on this strategy is pretty clear cut. I like to size out in quarters at specific levels. My first level is VWAP. So you start getting in here, we run up to VWAP right here, you see. Maybe start scaling out a little bit, right? Do I always do this? No, but these are my rules. That's where the discipline comes in. I got to start sticking to my rules. So my first level is VWAP. Second level is high of day. So what was the high of day? The high of day before we started was right here at $1 or 11.44. So we run up here, VWAP. We scale some. Right here, you see it breaks high of day. Right here, you scale some more, right? Start sizing out. So you can already have your limit sells set either right before it breaks out or right at the breakout. That's my second level, high of day. Third level is pre-market high. So you see it never broke pre-market high. So then you kind of got to start saying, all right, once it comes back here, do I need to start sizing out more? And this also depends on the overall market. If the market sentiment's really good and shit's shit is running, maybe leave a little bit more in, you know what I'm saying? But this is kind of what I look for. So the third level is pre-market high, and the final exit is anywhere over the pre-market high. I like to categorize my exits as the single is VWAP. If I hit a double, that's high a day, right? If I hit a triple, that means it's testing or breaking pre-market high. And then my home run is if it breaks pre-market high and it starts squeezing anything over pre-market high. Strategy tips. This is a day trade only. Unless it ends up being a home run, then a few shares can stay in for overnight. This will be a stock that has been downtrending or trending flat for a while with little to no volume. This will be the first big green day with significant volume. So you can completely see all of that right here on the daily chart, right? It's been trending down, trading flat. We got huge volume and a gap up. This is my gap and crap. This is what starts my whole process. Now, after all this, right, I'm usually looking at a 15-minute chart, and then as long as it holds up, as long as this stays above this low right here, this is a possible liquidity trap setup for me tomorrow or the next day. So in this case, it would be Monday or Tuesday. As long as this is holding this low, as long as it doesn't break this low, this is a possible liquidity trap setup for me. So these are the steps. We'll keep following this stock to see how it plays out, and hopefully it plays out perfectly for my whole process, and you guys get to see exactly what I'm talking about. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have.